Hi there, I'm Gary, welcome to my channel and welcome back if you've been here before. So today I'm starting production on this week's kit of the week chosen by you, my lovely viewer, and that kit is of course the Short Stirling Mk.III in 1/72 scale from Italeri. It's quite a complex kit, so today I think we'll get as far as closing up the fuselage with everything done on the inside. And tomorrow we'll make a start on the wings and we'll see how we go from there. Now, if you've got one of these already, you want to know how to put it together, then this and the subsequent videos are very much for you. If you're thinking about getting one and really want to know what you get in the box, for example, first of all, then there is a companion box opening video. You might want to check that out before coming back to watch out how to make it. Now, if you want to make sure you don't miss any of my videos as they pop up, remember, please subscribe and hit the bell down there. And if you like any of the videos you see on my channel, please do remember to give them a thumbs up on the button down there as well. Helps me enormously, don't cost you a penny. And if, of course, you'd like to do a bit more concrete support for future productions, you can do that through Super Thanks or any of my many partner programs, details of which are below. So there's a lot to get on with. Let's get cracking and start building this Short Stirling in 1/72 scale from Italeri. We're starting the build with the pilot and co-pilot seat. There's a little support at the back here that has to go on. I'll just use a bit of ultra thin. Extra thin, but I keep calling it ultra thin, so it's extra thin. Extra thin cement. Then these side panels sit on here. If you noticed how I've started to try and be a bit more sort of finessed about this, you know, with sharp tweezers and extra thin cement a lot more. Yeah, just trying to improve my game, just trying to get better all the time. And for the pilot seat, there's two holes at the top, there's two pegs here, and this I'm going to hazard a guess at it being armour plate or something like that. May even be part of the structure, but it fits on the back. There, like that. Now, cockpit floor. I've painted in interior green and I've given it a black wash to pick up some of the rivet details. With the seats, I've painted these seat belts and they go over the shoulder here. So what I'm going to do is put them in here first, and then I'll drape them once they're set properly on the back. There you go, about there, like that. They go about there, so a bit more straight. The great thing about working with high viscosity super glue is it takes 10 to 30 seconds to actually set, so you can get away with moving it a little bit once it's gone on, and just leave it alone. Really seriously, just leave it alone and it will set properly for you. I'm going to put the instrument panel onto the piece here. Notice I've cut this notch right to the edge of the colour because it's going to slip over the top of it here, and if you don't, then sometimes the decal has like a little bleed area, if you like, something. It's slightly larger than the printed area, and if you don't cut it out, it won't actually fit over these parts properly. But this one's fine because I did. I'm probably going to get rid of this appalling lime green here, but I'll put the when this is dry, I'll put the cover piece on top, which is a piece of photo etch here that I've already done a little bit of dry brushing on. Now over the instrument panel here there is a photo etched cover. Now that should sit fairly straightforwardly on there, and then you should better see all the instruments through it. That's the theory. That looks alright. I've stuck it down with some canopy glue, some white PVA, because I'd normally use super glue, but then we've got this decal here, this appallingly green decal. So I've used canopy glue on the back there. It'll take a bit of time to dry, but it will dry, and it won't. It will actually stick there. With super glue, will probably just rip the decal off and not stick to it. There's a couple of little panels here that have also got photo etch to go on. Those can go on with super glue because there's nothing there. And then I'll touch up around here and get rid of this appalling lime green with something that's much closer to interior green, because that looks absolutely horrible. Now if you want to be really cross-eyed by the end of the day, what you can do is put in these throttle levers, and there's also a set of maybe they're pitch levers or something that also go in. These are seriously small. Okay, they're less than 1 millimetre wide and probably about 3 or 4 millimeters long. They go in with a tiny spot of super glue at the bottom. They look great. I will say they do look great, but don't feel you have to do them, because you don't have to. You might see the tops of these knobs, you know, the red and the white, because the next one was white. You might see the tops of these knobs peeking through the you know, might see them through the canopy. So I'm just so distracted trying to pick these damn things up without them flying all over the place. Well, there we go. I'm going to give myself a huge pat on the back for doing those, because they are properly fiddly. An interesting thing is, when I first started picking up modelling again, about 3-4 years ago now, I started on a project, and one of the first kits I got was the dual combo of the Edward Hellcat in 1/72, with all the photo etch and everything. And I was looking at the cockpit and looking at the throttle levers and things. I'm thinking, I'm never ever going to put those in. And now I'd have a crack at it, because now I feel more confident. It's amazing how quickly your confidence as a builder can grow. I mean, at that time, I would never have put these throttle levers in, and I guess pitch levers, whatever they are. I would never have done it, but now I do, because I'm confident to feel that I can do it, and apparently I can. So there we are. Lesson for today is, if you can't do something now, or you don't think you can do something now, just keep going, because you will be able to do it. Modelling's an evolving thing. Enough of philosophy today. Let's get on and make the rest of this blasted cockpit. The control wheel for each, the pilot and the co-pilot, is a 2-part affair. The wheel itself goes into the stem like so. Then the control column goes into each side. And we'll paint those interior green with black handles in a moment. And when you're ready, the instrument panel can sit in place in there. Then the seats sit into these sort of runners here on the cockpit floor. And that's our crew compartment finished. just the rest of the crew to deal with now. Right, the radio operator's seat is here. I presume it's a radio operator. There's a lot of radio dials there, but then they've also got a big table type thing to work on. So this will get painted black. I'll do some dry brushing to bring up some detail. Again, I don't know why. I'll probably never see it again, but it's what we do. It's what we do. The details there, I might as well try and use it. And we can start filling in this rear crew compartment with all the bits and pieces. There's this tank that goes in. There's partition walls to go in. Tables, chairs, whatever, all sorts of things to go in. So we'll just build through those parts next. Each of these sides has a harness, which on these is just a lap strap, which is cool. It saves a lot of bother. I'm just going to put them in here first, like this, and then I will push the sides down. Again, you know, am I ever going to see these again? Probably not. So these are very much optional extras, okay? Seriously optional extras. And some seats for the navigator and radio operator. And the radio operator's set sits at the back here. And up against that sort of base thing there, I guess. It could have been better placed. Anyway, you notice also I've just done a little bit of dry brushing here and around with little bits of aluminium to simulate wear and tear on the interior. So, you know, people sitting there shuffling around all day on chairs and whatever, they're going to scuff up the floor, and going up and down the stairs they're going to scuff up things. So I've just generally done some scuffing with a little bit of aluminium paint and dry brushing. On this partition there's a couple of cupboards and what looks like a cooker ring. You can see it looks like a hob. They're probably to heat up hot drinks and stuff for the long journeys over Germany and so forth. You'll just get those painted up as well. And Navigator has this map table, and there's a kind of like a drawer front that sits on it like so. This next partition fits in here. The Navigator's map table goes into that partition like so, and into two holes on the floor. There's a pipe that goes in here. What it is, maybe it's a hot air pipe for heating or something like that, I don't know. The back of the compartment is here. You get clips on the back of the radio compartment, like so. Then the extension of that heater pipe goes into the front there, and then into the back down here. At the front end there's more partitioning, and this is actually going to support the cockpit section, the actual pilot and co-pilot's stations. It's just three pieces that fit here. Then this last wall here. Those two walls joined together. Actually, this piece looks really, having put it in, see how it pushes out that way, and the bit underneath has got very much a right angle connection. So this piece looks really quite twisted. I'm going to have to take it out and double check on that, because yeah, you can see it's twisted. Okay, it's no good to anyone if it's twisted, because it's not going to support the cockpit properly. I've got to get something with a decent quality longer lens to do this filming, because shooting close up with a phone is properly doing my head in. So any ideas would be gratefully received. Some sort of video camera or something, maybe. Well, not no, something that's going to give decent quality with a telephoto lens, because a lot of these fancy little digital video cameras use digital zoom, and that's no good to me whatsoever, really. Okay, that's better. That's straighter-ish, straight-ish, better anyway. There we go. Right, so then the cockpit now sits on top of all of this. That's probably the best way for you. So slot it in sort of that way. See, so it sits like that. There's this small spar that goes in at each end of the bomb bay. And held in with a dab of glue. Then the completed crew compartment has to sit on this backbone piece here. This edge here meets up here along there, and then this step piece here has to go into there, so it will sit just very slightly up from the bottom part. You see how it just sits up a little bit from the base? That's what you want it to be doing, not sitting flat against the base. There's a load of these windows. There's 4 on each side, all the same shape, all the same part number actually. So they just drop into the holes there. And when they're in place, we'll just give them a spot of extra thin cement just to tack them in place. And at the front, on each side, there's one of these blister windows. The blister part goes in the front of the 2 holes, so this way round. And again, just a little drop of extra thin to bind it in place. The flight engineer's panel fits into this part here. Right, these parts are for the front gun turret. And these go into the halves of the fuselage before they're joined together. Quite simple. The back meets up with the floor, and just a bead of extra thin cement will sort it out. The base of the turret fits at the front, and it lines up against a mark on the fuselage, inside the fuselage, and the base just lines up with this here, this edge. Then there's another piece of flooring just fits in here, underneath where the turret goes, above the kind of bomb aimer's window area there. And then, very excitingly, the whole of this crew area can go in, and it just slots in at the back there, and it all just sort of falls into place. I have to say I'm pretty impressed that it just sort of goes there, and it feels really, really strong. So there we go, that's all that part of the structure done. So next we put in this piece of deckwork that goes in the back here. Now this is where there's going to be a few utility things for the crew. So let's just make sure that sits in nicely. If I have a criticism here, it's that things like these that go on where there are stringers and whatever, here, one, two, one, is that one there? I think they should have little indents, little grooves in the back, so you know that these are in the right place. There aren't any marks or grooves or anything, so you can't, just kind of guessing this is where they go. It would have been nice just to have something a bit more definite. Well, I've got some photo etch to bend now, so the first thing is to bend all these edges here so that the structure on the side of the structure sticks up a bit. So very carefully raise those up. Just start them off first. Maybe, and just see if we can pick this one up as well. There we go, just pick those up, flatten them up against there. Lovely job. Right, then these have got to be, these edges have got to come up this way, so what we'll do is get our steel rule and push it into the corner a bit more. So there we go, so we get the end of the ruler there, and then the edge here will pick up and fold up and make that corner. It's going to be a bit more difficult on this side, so what we'll do instead is use our chisel point here as the thing to hold the fold in place, and just pick up the edges with our knife like this. Okay, and then go around and straighten it all up. And there we have this little bench piece. There's this photo etch piece here that has to be bent round. It's a sort of a safety guard for something that presumably gets quite hot in the back of the plane. Now it says quite specifically a 6.5mm round thing to bend it round. So I don't have one of those. I do have one that's about 5mm, and then what I can do is wrap some masking tape round until I achieve the desired 6.5mm. Then we can put the piece on and gently bend it round. Try and keep it at right angles so it bends. The bend is kind of like parallel to the markings. Bend it a bit more than you need because it always springs back, And there we go, that's kind of what they fondly imagine is what we'll do. I'm happy enough with that, to be honest. So, you know, that will do me. And then what that's going to do eventually, that's going to sit in the plane around this sort of heater type thing that's here. I don't know what it is. I guess I'm going to guess it's a heater, but I can't imagine that. Anyway, it's going to sit on there, and it'll get painted red as well. Right, let's quickly talk you through all the gubbins at the back then. There's this tray here with a couple of metal things in. I don't know what they are. This thing on here is supposed to be leather, so what I've done is I've given it a leathery colour, but I've just picked out the edges in a much paler colour, almost white. Now, it looks quite high contrast, but it is because you're going to be viewing this through a small windows or a small open door. If you ever see it at all, you need that contrast to pick out the fact that there is detail there. This is that metal thing we just bent round the heater or whatever it is, painted red. There's another little red thing here. Again, don't know, extinguisher maybe. Here's the bench we made, the photo etch bench. This is the Elsan chemical toilet. And right at the very back is this, I don't know, blackout thing maybe that's been pulled back with a little leather strap there. That's sort of like that. Just again, just paint it up brownish tannish colour, and then just whack in some highlights and be quite generous with the highlights, because you are going to need them if you want to see them again. So that's all at the back there. Other things we have to do, we have to put in the base for this turret, we have to put in the base for the tail wheel. So let's get cracking on things like that. Right, the tail wheel. The wheel well comes one piece here, and then another piece sits at the front. Now, I'm going to be taking a bit of a punt with this. I am going to be putting this in without building the rest of the undercarriage, because the other things that go in here are the two wheels here and here, and then there's like a structure which points out like this, which has the gear doors on it. Then there's another piece that goes across the top to close it all in. Now, I don't want anything poking out the bottom of this while I'm messing around doing any, you know, doing the spraying and things like that. So I'm not going to make the whole thing. I'm just going to leave it as it is now, put it into the aircraft, leave it as it is, and then later on I hope I'll be able to poke the wheels and the gear door actuators in, and then fit the blanking piece over the front and the gear doors. I'm pretty sure it's going to work. If it doesn't, it's going to be an interesting build in a couple of days' time. But for the moment, that's the way I'm going. Then the wheel well goes in here. You can see there's some cutouts in the formers there. That sort of goes in there and then fits. That's a little bit back out there. Yeah, that'll do. Now you can see that these bits won't stick out underneath the aircraft when I'm doing the spraying later on. Then the platform for the rear, and the platform for the rear turret can go in. Just sits along this ledge here. Next, I'm making the base of the mid-upper turret. What I'm going to do is put the workings of it in, essentially, and then close up the cockpit, but not do the guns and the transparency. And I'll just block those off when they get painted, that hole. So this is like the base structure here, where the gunner actually sits as a little chair you can see there, that's where the gunner sits. So we've got the bottom structure here, and then this is the ring that supports the turret, and that's going to sit in this gap here. Something I do need to remember to do is to mark out these holes here are for the surround for the mid-upper turret, so I have to... Something else I have to do before I close up the cockpit, there's these two hole locations here. These are going to be for the aerodynamic fairing that goes around the mid-upper turret. So I'm just going to mark out where they are on here so I can drill them out when the holes, the two halves are put back together. That's it. Now, if you want the turret to turn as well, they say to take this out here. What you can do is if you want, you can take this out and then put the whole turret in, laser drop it down, and then just sort of put it in. But I'm kind of happier doing it this way round, to actually put the base of the turret in, and then worry about the glazing and the guns after I've done the all over painting. So the crew door needs a window as well. It's exactly the same window, same part number as the windows that go along the side. So when you've done the ones along the side, don't worry that there is a spare one. It's actually for the crew door. As usual, pop it into place, and then a quick touch of extra thin cement, and that will keep it in place. Now what you do before you put the halves together is you go through all the instructions again. You double check whether or not you've left anything out. And I had, let's see, now this little piece here, it was on the sprue, number 15, A15. I thought, well, I don't know if there's that, and it goes there. I forgot about it, so I'm going to wait for that to dry, paint it silver like it's supposed to be, and then I will know I've got all the bits in I'm supposed to have. Yay! So the turret's going to go in there, and do you know what? I think that's going to be pretty much it. Oh, the door's got to go in the other side. And so, the big moment, we close up the fuselage, hoping it all goes together as well as it did when there was nothing in it. And you know what? It does. It actually goes together straight away. No fuss, no bother. There it is. So we'll tape it up. I'm genuinely very, very impressed by this. I have to say, I'm almost speechless. I will tape all this up now, and then we will do some extra thin around the seams and leave it be. There's this panel here that has to go in. There we go. That's going to need a little bit of filling at the edges to get it looking right. It doesn't sit properly at all. Yeah, we'll see how that goes later on. Okay, I'm going to put an astrodome into this, navigator's astrodome. You'll notice on the inside of this mounting plate, this little bit here is straight, and that matches up with a straight bit on the part. I guess so it sits at the right angle. So, but although the panel is slightly curved on the top of the plane, the astrodome sits like perfectly plumb in the aircraft. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know. That's what I'm guessing. I'm just about to start masking the canopy, the crew canopy. It's kind of one strange thing I've noticed here. I was just looking at the layouts and looking at the mast sets, but look at on this side there's a bar across the window. On this side there isn't. Now I don't know if that's a moulding error or what. It's really unclear from anything on the kit drawings, apart from the drawings at the end, the scheme drawings, which sort of show a bar here, and you know, the mask shows a bar continuously. So I don't know whether this is maybe a mismoulding or something, but then, and don't know if you can see the way that this forward thing comes in here. This joint here is quite sharply moulded, which kind of implies this is one piece, but that's way too big for a one-piece plexiglass for a bomber. So I don't know. I think I'll just put the masks on as are, and we'll just go across those bits as if they were there. If they're not supposed to be there, then maybe someone would be kind enough to tell me before I spray them, because it just seems odd. It just seems, why would you put a clear on this side and not that side? You know, no, I think this is wrong. I think this is wrong. I can put in the Navigator's Astrodome in its little panel there. Very nice. Usual dab of glue will keep it in place. You'll remember we marked out the space for drilling a couple of holes, and might as well drill them now. These are 1.5mm holes. They're quite surprisingly big, actually. And these are for the fairing around the mid-upper turret. Then, if you've marked it correctly, of course, the fairing just pops on. We can fit a couple of the cockpit transparencies as well. First of all, there's the bomb aimer's transparency, goes on the chin here. Then the main cockpit canopy slots on as well. Now, both the chin and the cockpit canopy I'm attaching with canopy glue, which is like a clearish PVA. It dries clear, it definitely won't leave any chemical haze, and it fills up any tiny little gaps that might be there. Well, phew, what a long time that has been. There's so much detail on the inside. It's going to be interesting when it's built to shine some little lights through the windows and whatever, and see what you can actually see, even with doors open and things like that. Are they producing the detail just because it's there? I don't know. Are they producing detail for the top level builder and everyone else can just sort of put it in or not? Who knows? We'll find out later on. It is a joy to build. The fit is lovely. There's just so much of it. There is so much of it, but well worth it. The detail you can achieve in there is astonishing. So do keep coming back for videos. Remember, if you want to be notified of when they come up, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell down there. Like the video if you do. It all helps the channel, and I will see you very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye now.